Welcome to Off With Their Headlines. My name is Amanda Matta. I'm your co-host, along with the questionable decision-making Meredith Constant. She was ready for a compliment, but she just told me the story on Patreon of how she adopted a cat. So
questionable or just wise?
She's an enigma. Well, welcome to the episode.
Enigma, that's fair.
This is our first episode back in a while.
I know.
It feels good to be back.
Welcome back.
I had one of those vacations where towards the end of it, I'm jonesing for the laptop. I'm like, I need to write something, but I left my laptop at home, which was ultimately good for the mental health.
Wow. Yeah, that is bold. And I applaud you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But we're back and it is Royal Silly season. So we have quite a few stories to catch up on together and some very, very fun articles to revisit, because August is notoriously light on royal events and royal news. So we have to get creative. And by we, I mean the royal press.
Boy, howdy, do they ever. And just really quickly, if you want to listen and learn more about Amanda's trip, we just recorded our Patreon episode for the month. So that's going to be over on our Patreon. The link is in our bio, but Amanda goes through her trip. I go through my 2 weeks, which included a dental appointment.
Life-changing news for Meredith.
Yeah, a royal baby announcement. Not an actual baby. Okay.
Oh, I was talking about the album as your
Oh yeah. People were congratulating me on Buckingham Nicks having a digital release as if I just had a child. I felt like I had a part in this and I did not.
You were just the harbinger? Harbinger.
Sure. You're throwing out some SAT words today.
I was just in the UK and Europe, all right? I learned some new words.
Are you spelling color with a U now?
I always kind of did. I always spell gray with an E, which I think is the European way. So like when I search for things on Amazon, I have to remember, okay, GRAY, so I get the results that I want.
Yeah, I also think gray makes more sense, GREY, but that's not why people listen to this podcast. Get into it.
So yes, it is Royal Silly season. We have some very fun articles for you today, in addition to our normal segment of fun articles, Burying the Lead. So I believe Meredith and I have both brought articles today. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Ooh, I'm going to go first.
Okay.
Why not?
Do it.
So this one is about a Prince Andrew win. This article is from The Express, and the headline is Rare Victory for Prince Andrew as King Charles forced into climb down over Royal Lodge. Pause, please. Pause. A rare win? Let's think about this. Has Prince Andrew really lost, if you think about it?
Didn't he just get his travel ban lifted?
I'm pretty sure. And when we talk about consequences, he only had consequences from his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein because he did a horrific interview that forced the Queen's hand.
All he does is win.
All he does is win, win, win. He doesn't face real consequences. It's the very doing it for the cameras consequences. So that the king is forced to climb down? In what world? It's a hierarchy. He's at the top.
I love, so the article here is predicated on, don't you feel bad for Prince Andrew? Well, finally, some good news for him. Is that like where I'm supposed to be approaching this article from?
I don't even know what they want to do here, but it is kind of painting it like
messy.
Hasn't it been hard for Prince Andrew? He's just
don't you feel sorry for him?
He's always losing. Yeah. He gets to live on royal property. So the article goes into the details. And the first paragraph says, Prince Andrew is set to be all smiles this week, as it is believed he has. It's all of those is set to be.
Yeah.
As it is believed, and a lot of past tense, but also a lot of we don't actually know. We don't actually know.
Reportedly.
We believe this. Yeah. We can't actually claim it, though. As fact, but basically that he has won the Royal Lodge row. For years, the Duke has called it his home and has not shown any signs of wanting to relocate. Then it goes in the fact that Charles has been trying to get his non-working royal sibling to move to smaller premises like, I don't know, Frogmore Cottage or something, because it seemed really easy to get Harry and Meghan out of there. In a bid to get this to happen, the monarch even removed the security he was privately funding for the Royal Lodge, which I don't understand what that means.
I also
Remove the
don't
security he
remember
was
that.
privately funding? I've never heard that before, but isn't it on Windsor grounds?
Yes.
So doesn't it have security inherently?
Yes. I think it would be private security, like personal security.
That's what I would think. But did he do that because of the Royal Lodge? Because it seems to me, if you remove the private security, that gives even more impetus for Andrew to be like, I'm not moving from my spot.
Right. I'm here. Because it is on Windsor grounds. I don't know, dude. I can't even imagine. I can't even put myself in these people's shoes to begin to untangle this web.
So the whole thing about this lodge is that it's massive. It is a mansion, and
it's also falling apart.
Yeah, Prince Andrew and Fergie do not need this house. And so the whole thing that the Express is reporting is that he signed a 75-year lease, agreed by the Crown Estate in 2003.
Right.
And so what they're saying is that there's maybe a lease document that states he is entitled to stay there. That also makes me wonder, well, wasn't Frogmore Cottage a gift from the Queen? Or do I have that wrong?
It's believed that, the lease to Frogmore was like handpicked for Harry and Meghan by the Queen, but like we never really found out the arrangements of that lease, even though Harry and Meghan were the ones to pay for the renovations out of after the Crown Estate money had to be returned.
Wow, and that moved quickly.
Yeah,
they got them out, and I think that house is just standing empty. Isn't that my understanding, that no one has moved into it?
Currently, it's sometimes been rumored that either Beatrice or Eugenie were staying in it, like using it as a London base, but they have apartments at St. James's, so nobody knows. I don't think anybody knows.
Nobody knows anything. Interesting is it is believed, because nobody knows anything. This article is predicated on maybe.
Most of the paragraphs start with it's believed or it was rumored.
It has been reported. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it is believed to be, rumored to be, reportedly been doing that Fort Belvedere might be where Kate and William and their family go instead, which is a Gothic revival mansion that also happened to be where King Edward lived. So an interesting little historical
the Will and Kate moving house thing is so interesting, because it was just 2 years ago we were talking about Adelaide Cottage. There's not even nanny quarters. They're so relatable. And then immediately the stories about them wanting a bigger house started. So they allegedly had their sights on Royal Lodge. Now I have seen a lot of stories about them wanting to move to Fort Belvedere, which it just looks like a medieval castle.
It really does.
Insane. I cannot believe that's, and how would they get away with it? Like, I don't think you could hold back the tide of articles calling them out of touch if they moved into a castle after Adelaide Cottage.
I wonder how they would spin that, or if it would be a source close to the family said they don't want a house this size, but the Royal Lodge is not available, or this was, or there will be some sort of reason given of how this is not their first
They never
choice.
Actually wanted Adelaide Cottage. Well, okay,
you don't think so?
That's what people say. I don't know.
I do wonder about that, because I have to say, I have 3 children as well. A 4-bedroom house with 3 children, especially if, I don't have nannies, I don't have any of that, but family members don't.
And staff, like if staff need to be in your space.
I don't blame them for wanting a larger home, whether it needs to be a Gothic mansion castle.
Notice how quickly we pivoted to talking about Will and Kate, because this article kind of has nothing to go on. This was revealed by the Daily Mail, with Andrew having reportedly shown a lease document that states he is legally entitled to stay there, which that could have been the first step 5 years ago, but okay. And then
that's a good point. Why is this only happening right now?
If he's showing the lease document that states he's legally entitled to stay there, first of all, how is that the end all be all if the fight was ongoing for 4 or 5 years? I have questions. But then it's very quickly, well, we don't have anything else to talk about with Andrew and Fergie. So let's talk about Will and Kate.
Exactly. Broad strokes, Andrew gets away with too much.
Yeah.
There are too many unanswered questions about what he did during his time as UK trade envoy, which the government has actually helped in concealing what he has done. In relation to that. And also, how did he suddenly get money to be able to pay to stay in Royal Lodge and have security? Where did that come from? He is allowed to get away with everything. The idea that he has a rare win is so silly, because for a white privileged man like Prince Andrew, everything is a win.
I wonder how you could say that this is Meghan's fault. We're just missing that, you know? That's the only angle we're missing from this piece.
Well, I think people are rejiggering timelines in an untrue way to suggest that I think a book reported that Prince Harry punched Andrew over something, and people are trying to say that that was Andrew said something about Meghan and Meghan's past.
That's
and
like
maybe
an adjacent story.
Yeah, but that actually Harry might have punched Andrew in 2013. So I don't know when Prince Andrew was punched.
Sometimes
allegedly.
You can get good stuff from the comment sections.
Ooh.
This person says, Prince William and Princess Catherine's, not her title, selection of a different abode does not alter the fact that if Uncle Andy cannot maintain the lodge, he may be in violation of his lease. The lodge cannot become a folly. So why are we not, where is this lease? Who actually has it? I want to read the terms if this is going to keep being a story.
Why doesn't the Express story go farther in that direction?
Does the Daily Mail story even?
I know why, but
I clicked on the Daily Mail link, always a mistake. It's about Fergie. Fergie, Duchess of Greed, eye-popping debts, dubious charity work, and the vulgar truth of exactly what Prince Andrew's ex squanders money she doesn't have on, all exposed by the book the royals tried to ban. So apparently this came out in a book?
Is it Andrew Lowry's book or Lowry?
I
feel like I've seen a book floating around. I think it's that one by, I don't know. It kind of sounds like a book that I might want to actually read.
Interesting. I mean, the Sussex, is that where the Harry and Andrew story came from, though?
Think.
But then the Sussexes already disputed it. So, I want to read it less.
Did they get a specific,
there was an actual, rebuttal to it.
Ooh. It could be untrue. That's very possible, right? It could also be, that's not necessarily a story you want out there.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think,
if it was over a comment about Meghan, let him think that I knocked this guy to the ground.
Although apparently it happened before he even knew Meghan. But anyway, it also kind of, if you think about Spare and Prince William's aggression towards Harry and knocking him over, breaking the dog bowl, you don't really want a story out there about you punching your uncle. Although, if you're going to punch an uncle, that's the one. It
should be Uncle Andrew. Wow. Lots to chew on. I have a very funny one for you. Also from the Express, which it's royal silly season every day at the Express.
It's very true.
So Meghan Markle celebrated her 44th birthday this week. The headline at the Express: Meghan Markle's birthday clashes with two huge royal events.
Couldn't she have been born on a different day?
The Duchess of Sussex is celebrating her birthday today, but her special day clashes with two other royal events. So my thing is, okay, what are they going to say? Is it somebody planned something for Meghan's birthday, but now it's her fault? It's even worse. So we get Meghan Markle is celebrating her 44th birthday, but the big day is also special for the royals. The Duchess of Sussex will undoubtedly be doted on by her husband, Prince Harry, who will surely pull out all the stops to make his wife's birthday special. They love to make him look whipped.
It's so weird. To make it seem like man cares about his wife. Ew.
Now, I saw this in several different stories in several different contexts. This next sentence: while no official details of Meghan's birthday celebrations have been released, it is thought that she will mark the day privately with her nearest and dearest in Montecito, California. You know those web pages where there's quote unquote live rolling coverage of the royals?
Yes.
They had one. It was Meghan's birthday, and it was literally just
no.
We don't know what she's doing. But here's what she might do.
I love it.
So, okay. But while Meghan is expected to be at the center of attention all the way across the pond, August 4th holds a special place in the royals' hearts, too. On August 4th, 1982, when the Duchess was just 1 year old, Prince William was christened in the music room at Buckingham Palace.
Stop it.
How dare she?
But also, are we going to pretend Prince William's christening is more
a huge,
what do they call it?
A huge pretty royal event.
Who remembers their christening date?
Yeah. The ceremony for the future king, whose full name is William Arthur Philip Louis, was performed by the then Archbishop of Canterbury, Robert Runcie, and huge crowds gathered outside the palace. In his book, Catherine the Princess of Wales, author Robert Jobson wrote, a large crowd had gathered outside the palace and the Queen Mother appeared on the balcony before the ceremony. This time, it was completely private, a closed event. Why is he talking about William's christening in a book about Catherine?
I don't know. I think that was the book, too, that said that one of the hardest moments of Catherine's life was having to walk near Meghan during the walkabout after the Queen passed.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, are you ready for the second huge event?
I'm going to tell you something. I'm not, but please go ahead.
Meghan's birthday is also the late Queen Mother's birthday. She was born on August 4th, 1900. How dare she be
These
born?
Leos.
Yeah, really. She was one of the most beloved members of the royal family until her death on March 30th, 2002.
Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
Wasn't she low-key kind of a monster?
She was racist. She loved to drink. She like had gay friends, so like people love to talk about that. Like she was a gay icon. No, she wasn't. She wasn't. Okay. Yeah, she was. Yes, low-key a monster, I think is a good way to say. Her death, aged 101, came just a few weeks after the second daughter, Princess Margaret's death. The late Queen Elizabeth, her only surviving daughter, was by her side at Royal Lodge. Maybe that's why Prince Andrew wants to stay in Royal Lodge. The ghost of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, is there.
He kind of needs it. He probably needs some haunting.
Someone commented, "So what is the news here? Her birthday falls on the same date every year."
It's true, because it's not as if there are two big events August 4th of this year that it's clashing with.
Right.
Whereas with the coronation of King Charles, that was like, okay, he has certain dates he can pick, and the date that was selected was Archie's birthday, which you can't just move Archie's birthday, which was a more interesting conversation. But this is like, can you believe
we don't know what she's doing, but can you believe the audacity?
What the title should be is two royal historical events that Meghan Markle's birthday coincides with.
Right.
Not that, but
clashes.
It's the clashes.
Yeah.
As if she chose, when to enter the world.
Yeah. It's wild.
It should be Prince William's christening clashes with Meghan Markle.
Because she was born first. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what it should be, really.
Oh my goodness. It is royal silly season. I didn't realize this was an actual term, like an official term.
Oh, it is.
I just thought it was like a good observation on what's going on. Silly season is actually a term that goes back to the Victorian age, I've learned. The first reference to it was in an article in the Saturday Review, a London weekly newspaper established in 1855. The piece was from 1861, and they talk about the reduction in the quality of editorial content of the times. So the journalists that were tasked with writing for the paper were going out of town because it was August. They were going to Scotland or a Swiss mountain, and work was left to feebler hands. In those months, the great oracle becomes, what at other times it is not, simply silly. So basically, it's become a term to talk about the royal news, especially because the coverage needs to be churned out, but apparently less capable hands are the ones writing these stories in August.
So that is super interesting, given the way the royal appointment has talked about silly season in the past.
Okay.
May I tell you?
Please.
Because I did a little research of my own. I have been, unfortunately, subscribed to the Telegraph's royal appointment for the last 3 years. So
Do you pay for that?
I do.
But it's a tax write-off for us.
Yes, exactly.
That's the only reason.
I could not bring myself. And I always find a way to get a better deal. Like, don't leave.
Yeah.
I always find a way to limit the amount of money I'm spending.
I want to cancel my subscription button enough times. They will give you
they're
a last
ditch. What if we pay you to read it? And you're like, okay. So
fine.
Every year at this time, they talk about silly season in one way or another. So I'm going to start with this year's, which was
self-aware.
2025. Now it's Hannah Furness, who took over for the royal appointment like 2 years ago. She says the annual silly season on Fleet Street, where journalists must still entertain readers without much really happening, may yet commence. Although it has been quite some years since the royal beat was entirely quiet over the summer. And let's be honest, the online and social media royal worlds mean that silly season is a permanent fixture in some quarters. Interesting given the actual definition of silly season and how it's changed.
Yes.
Because the drumbeat is that it is silly all the time. And it's because of you people on the internet.
You riffraff. No, like it was originally, and I have examples of this that I think still line up with that historical definition. Like the pitches that normally wouldn't get accepted are getting accepted. Writers who aren't normally responsible for this beat are the only ones left at the office. So they're the ones churning out the stories. So you get stories like, in 2014, there were numerous articles dedicated to the Duchess of Cambridge's hair. One went as far as to implicate her tresses in the eventual downfall of the monarchy. I could not find that specific one, but I was looking like Kate Middleton hair 2014. In August 2014, there was a story about she and William went on like a date night near Anmore Hall in Norfolk. I believe it was Camilla Tominey writing the story. And she said, Kate was seen sipping a white wine spritzer. 2 weeks later, I shit you not, they announced she was pregnant with Charlotte the beginning of September 2014. So like either Camilla's story is bullshit or Kate didn't know she was pregnant and was drinking a white wine spritzer. Because I feel like 2014 was the time when people were like swearing off alcohol still when you were pregnant. Now I know people are more comfortable with like drinking a glass of wine a week, but back in 2014, I don't think Kate would have been drinking a glass of wine. Anyway, I'm just saying.
Was it just color added that
just to throw people off? I don't know. My favorite Royal Silly Season article that I found was from 2015. It was a writer for Mashable. I don't know if you remember this.
Oh my God, I remember Mashable.
Yeah.
Are they still around?
I don't know. The article's archived on Mashable, but I could still find it linked. The headline was August 23rd, 2015. I'm 23 and dressed as royal baby Prince George for a week. And there's pictures of this adult man in outfits like baby Prince George. He was 2 years old at the time. He said,
so
Prince
is it
George,
like the long, stockings and
yes. So you know
shorts?
the outfit that's like a hand-me-down with the red and white embroidered shirt and the red shorts? He wore that outfit. He said, when Mashable gave me the opportunity to live a week in Prince George's shoes, to dissect what it was like to be a royal and more specifically a royal baby, I jumped at the chance. He said the hardest part was obtaining a wardrobe made for toddler princes in like adult sizes.
Fair.
That was like the hardest part. It's actually interesting, like if you want to read about what goes into a royal baby's wardrobe.
Okay, we need to put that in the show notes, actually.
It's
is this silly or
wild.
is this random but kind of fun?
But like he actually did it. So he said he wore a blue sweater, which George wore to go see baby Charlotte when she was born. What better outfit to symbolize the birth of my week as a royal baby? I would tell several people about this symbolism throughout my first day.
Amazing.
Standing on a subway platform in my blue sweater, blue shorts, blue socks, and Crocs, a man approached me casually. You must be hot in that, the man said. It was 91 degrees. Yeah, I replied. He walked away. My first interaction as a royal baby in the hole, I felt like a king. And when he got to work, people said, you look like most people in Massachusetts. And another said, you remind me of a 4-year-old tennis prodigy.
Okay, not for nothing, but when I was around that age of 3 or 4, there's a picture of me in New England.
Yeah.
In kind of it's not a blue sweater like George, but it's a cream colored sweater.
Yeah.
I'm in shorts and that person has a point.
Sure. He also tries the shorteralls, so like overalls but shorts. He liked those a lot. And then, of course, the iconic red shorts embroidered shirt outfit. So it's a very fun article. There are pictures of this grown man in Prince George outfits.
I think that is Silly Season done right because it is fully aware.
Yeah. I did see another one that was just like, huh? So this was from also The Express. And back in 2014, we were quoting a royal expert who was saying, the Queen's children seemingly do not share a particularly close bond. And the commentator said, it's almost like the Queen had 2 sets of children. She's correct. Yeah. And so like when this comment got written up in different articles, because it was 2019, the one said, why Queen Elizabeth seemingly had 2 sets of children decades ago. And the story is just, hey, isn't it kind of weird how the Queen had 2 children and then waited 10 years and had 2 more children?
No, it's as someone that has a 7.5-year age gap between my first and my last.
It's so funny.
No, it's actually not, especially when after having those 2 kids, those first 2, she very quickly became queen.
Right.
She was
kind of busy. So it's just articles talking about like, isn't it weird? The sibling dynamics must be like kind of different between the 4 children of Queen Elizabeth. And I wish we had been doing this work in 2019 to comment on the story.
Because that is real. And so it's funny about the Silly Season because getting back to the royal appointment, it's very much, can you believe it? And it's very much, they remove themselves from the silly season.
So they've missed the point, is what you're saying.
They've missed the entire point. It's interesting about this 2025, and then I'll move to 2024, is that she also says, as usual, when I step away from the office, it's been interesting to read about royal news rather than write it. The things that seem to matter a lot while on duty aren't always the same things that cut through to the public. That is a very interesting statement to make from someone who regularly reports on what everyone else is reporting on. And it did make me think of, do you mean like, I don't know, royal finances, King Charles report, Highgrove, because what are you saying there? I don't know. I don't know if she knows. So then we go to 2024. Headline for the royal appointment was, "It will be hard to distinguish the silly royal news from the rest of the year in some quarters." Girl, did you just copy and paste?
They're so done with us.
She
They've
literally
been done
said,
with us.
season is a permanent fixture in some quarters in 2025. In
Huh.
2024, she says, "It will be hard to distinguish the silly royal news from the rest of the year in some quarters."
And these are both Furnace?
Yep. I think we're just copy and pasting because what are you supposed to say?
Because it's silly season.
So this is what she says in 2024. "Traditionally, the popular press would now indulge in silly season. But when it comes to royal news, I'm afraid that between the wild social media accounts, unregulated overseas press, and, quote, royal experts who are nothing of the sort, it will be hard to distinguish the silly royal news from the rest of the year in some quarters."
They're so sick of internet sleuths.
They are so
Like
sick of
us.
internet sleuth, but it's also amazing that she just writes the same thing year after year. But this is interesting because it's 2024, which means we've gone through all the Kate stuff.
Right.
So she's talking about the unregulated overseas press, which is clearly a knock on the reporting that they did that the British media was not doing.
You cannot renegotiate history like this. I'm so sorry.
It's so bad. Okay, now let's go to 2023.
Please.
And this is Camilla Tominey.
Okay.
And the headline is, "Silly season has well and truly arrived."
You can't like talk about it. It just is. I don't know. That's what's pissing me off here.
It's weird to talk about it because no one ever goes deeper to say what was traditionally silly season.
Yeah.
And even pull out to say, well, what are we missing? What could we be covering and digging into during this time? Of course, they're not going to. But anyway, I always forget that Hannah's writing, while she can also say some stuff that's like, excuse me, Tominey's writing is so acidic that it's like, wow, save it for the diary. It's just rough.
Give it to me.
So she starts with headlines like, "Chinese zoo forced to deny bear is person in disguise." Remember that story?
Yes, I do remember that.
It's clear silly season is well and truly underway. And then she does define the concise Oxford English Dictionary. And it says it's a period of high summer regarded as the season when newspapers often publish trivial material because of a lack of important news, which again sounds like the British media all the time when it comes to royal reporting. I don't know how this is different.
She's missing like Parliament's in recess, school is out, people are on vacation, the royals are out of the country. Like she's missing the fact that the rug has been pulled out of people like her. Like,
but also because of what they can report on.
Okay.
Because there is a certain, they can only go so far. So do you remember this? Take #Kiltgate. Do you remember Kiltgate with Prince William? He refused to wear the Scottish shirt.
I was mixing it up. Sorry, I was mixing it up with this year when he was at Windsor and didn't wear the Windsor uniform. But yes, I do remember Kiltgate.
So she says, "While I thoroughly enjoyed my colleague Alan Cochrane's take on the Tartan to-do, I'm not sure it classifies as front page news."
I think it kind of does. Not front page, but like
why.
I would talk about that story.
I think actually on many levels that's interesting. It could be a very interesting intersection of fashion and royals and politics and stuff. But I mean, why talk about that? And then, you ready about this?
Please.
"No one was stopping the press for the shock announcement that, brace yourselves, Omid Scobie is no longer going to be writing a bi-monthly column for Yahoo News." And then the whole thing is about Omid Scobie. And then it goes, "Quite how the Sussex squad will cope without his fortnightly royal musing is anyone's guess. Yet they arguably have bigger things to worry about with the, quote, news that the, quote, furious Beckhams have ditched Harry and Meghan." The rest of it is just a rant against Omid Scobie.
Save it for the diary, Camilla.
Girl, that's doing too much. It's so
unprofessional on a new level.
Them back to back to back and seeing the change in the tone from one writer to the next, but also how the previous year's royal events have influenced their take. Because in 2024, Hannah's take on silly season is a little more acidic and pointed because of the coverage of Catherine when she was, quote unquote, missing. That we didn't know what was going on. Then in 2025, because we've had royals back to work and we've had this whole Kate is slowly returning back to work. They've had that whole thing. The title is "It is a Royal Recharge," so we're looking at silly season in a slightly different way. But I also think we're trying to justify the lack of engagements, like the slowing down of engagements from people like Kate and stuff like that, and reminding them that these people do need to rest because they are either still battling cancer or recovering or recovered or what have you.
Pick your adjective. Yeah. Wild. I found a little article on Honey, which did go through some historic silly season like articles.
Oh, cool.
So there apparently was one in the 90s from the Sun. It was a double-page spread titled Willie's Phillies, and it included a list of the quote girls with the right breeding for royal romance.
This is even grosser considering the fact that Harry writes about his first sexual encounter in Spare as basically riding a horse.
Yeah.
These people need to get
back
off the
away
horses.
from the horse metaphors. Yeah. This is why the horses are injuring all the royals. They're fed up. They're revolting.
Done. Okay. It's not get back on the horse. It's get off the horse.
Yeah.
Move away from the horse.
2 years later, William attended a polo tournament wearing wraparound sunglasses, leading the son to trumpet Prince Charming turns Reservoir Dogs bad guy. But get this.
Stop.
Get this. The Times ran the sunglasses story as well. But they, rather more haughtily, declared the prince's shades the latest must-have for the Pimm's set. Have you ever had a Pimm's cup?
I have not.
They're really
but
good.
I know what it is.
Yeah, they're really good. In 2013, Prince Philip was accused of implementing a royal breeding program. It was suggested that in an effort to prevent overpopulation, the family patriarch had capped royal offspring to 2 per couple.
Oh my God, amazing. At first I said, he's not talking about children. And then I said, oh, he's talking about children.
At least it didn't go like a eugenics-y route. It was just like a speculative story about like, all of these couples, like Fergie and Andrew, Charles and Diana, they're all having 2 kids. What's that about? Is it Prince Philip laying down the law?
Yeah. Why did they all have 2 children?
Well, they got divorced after a certain amount of time. So the marriages maybe fell apart. Yeah. Well, and Kate had 3, so I don't know.
Yeah, and they've been married for quite some time. And just to wrap up this conversation, my favorite silly season post of all times is, of course, Prince Grilliam. This was from The Sun. This was from August of 2023. Prince William is becoming king of the grill, like his late grandfather, Prince Philip. So this is all basically like William's taken on the grilling duties. Like someone has to do it, you know? So sources say William is taking on barbecue duties, previously well guarded by Philip until his death in 2021.
I'm sorry, pause. Can you imagine, like, you are a royal reporter, right? You have sources. You're like, hey, what you got for me? You got anything good? And they say, get this. You'll never believe it. Prince William. And you're like, Prince William is taking over grilling duties.
Do you mean like grilling the family, like he's laying down the law with Prince Andrew? Is that what you mean?
No. I mean, he's the one in charge of the grill, but it's a big deal because that's Prince Philip's thing.
Wait, you mean a physical grill, like food,
like sausages? Isn't that wild?
Anything else? Like, has he thrown the tongs at someone? Has he gotten incandescent with rage when the steak is not a perfect medium rare?
I don't know. I can't confirm or deny.
So maybe can I throw in an allegedly?
You better not. I mean,
okay.
We don't want to make a
great story. Okay, so
you know welcome.
What? Okay, I'm going to go to my editor at The Sun. Okay, I have this story about William. Give it to me. He grills. Oh, do you mean he's grilling the family? Is there strife? No. He grills like on the barbecue.
Charcoals.
Oh, is there any photos or anything? No. Okay, I know what we're going to do. We are going to create an entire article around this, and then we are going to superimpose William's face on an old photo of Prince Philip manning the grill.
Yep.
They put Prince William's head on his dead grandfather's body.
Yep.
And it looks so weird because Prince William's left-handed. It doesn't look right.
They didn't have to do that because there are pictures of Prince William grilling or like at a barbecue. Like he's done this at engagements before. They could have used one of those.
What's creepy is
this was a choice.
Is that his hands look like they didn't change the hands. It's his grandfather's hands. It is so creepy, but know what I realize is even worse? We're now in a time where they could run this today and just do an AI creation. But imagine if the AI isn't very good.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a very creepy,
horsey mouthed
amalgamation of Prince William grilling chicken. It could be worse, I guess is what I'm saying. But yes, silly season is never without its joy. And I'm sure that we will have more stories to talk about along those lines.
as Meredith hinted earlier, there are some stories with which we could actually be engaging. Chiefly, we want to catch up on a few here. King Charles III haranguing his gardeners at Highgrove. William and Kate taking a secret vacation to Greece, where the media just turned a blind eye.
Yeah.
And then we actually have an obituary for the end of this episode.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm going to read to you from Cosmopolitan. So there was a big, chunky Times investigation that was released on Saturday, July 19th, 2025. So this came out in the Sunday Times. It's a long article. Lots of quotes, lots of cross-referencing. I'm going to read you the summarized Cosmopolitan version because I think it's a little bit more snazzy, but you'll still get the same information. So, King Charles gardeners say they are treated like dirt thanks to his pedantic memos and demands. An external investigation recommended mental health support and counseling for staff. So, we learn in this investigation that King Charles, who is obsessed with his famous garden at his Highgrove estate, which is his private residence, has reportedly fostered a pretty toxic work environment. So the report from the Sunday Times says he rules with an iron fist, supervising everything from the size of peaches to the shade of roses. He takes frequent walkabouts on the property before sending demanding notes to staff in thick red ink, which are strikingly specific and emotional. All allegedly, of course. There's a direct quote of one of these demands saying that the staff's failure to cultivate his beloved delphiniums had caused an almighty disappointment and spoilt one of his favorite moments of the summer. And Charles was also upset because the public restaurant wasn't serving a particular kind of waxy potato that was his favorite. I'm quoting again.
This is exhausting. But also, you have to remember in the UK, the burden of proof is different.
Yes.
For defamation suits or anything like that. And so they have seen these they have seen these documents and spoken to people.
Multiple employees.
They felt very good before running this article. And to give them credit, they also point to a New York Times article from, I think, 2008, which also hints at a very taxing, perhaps poor working environment.
Yes, definitely. So the symptom basically here means that of 12 full-time gardeners employed in 2022, 11 of them have left, including 2 heads of garden and 1 deputy head gardener who all left within the space of the year. One had worked for Charles for decades. Another failed his probation after revealing a lack of knowledge about a particular flower, instantly losing Charles' trust. The monarch said of him, "Don't put that man in front of me again." Ooh, it's rough.
Wow.
We also learn that many workers were on a minimum wage, that during COVID, amid staff shortages, Charles had this scheme that wasn't put in place.
This is not great.
This really disturbed me. Charles proposed remedying this staff shortage with elderly volunteers or refugees from the war in Ukraine. The estate put out a call to local green-fingered enthusiasts who could play their part in caring for our green space. In keeping with Charles' suggestion, Highgrove said it was specifically searching for semi-retired and retired men and women. That's insane.
That is so gross. That is so gross because you could pay them. And the idea, though, that it should be volunteer because they should feel some sort of bond and willingness to give their time to the crown. You got money. You could pay these people.
So we also find out that staff is basically forced to call Charles to refer to him as His Majesty the King. So in some of these like quotes, you'll see things like a senior gardener saying in a grievance, "There is little management of HMTK, His Majesty the King's expectations." And I know I would not be allowed to say we are understaffed. I once gave advice regarding a staffing requirement for propagation, and I was shouted at by the director of Highgrove and reprimanded after the walkabout. There has been an ongoing issue with staff shortages, and this has created negativity and low morale within the team.
And so around this time, minimum wage in the UK, and I don't think it's shifted much, is around £8.
I think it depends on your age. I think there are different brackets.
Age, but it's low. And I bring that up only because instead of reporting on that, there have been stories about Meghan's Netflix stores.
Oh my God.
Staff can't even afford to buy the products. What they're actually talking about are these Netflix houses that are opening in different cities like Dallas and then also one in Pennsylvania. which are going to have different rooms that are themed after popular shows like Squid Game, and they will be selling some products, but it's far from just Meghan's products. And it's not even like she has this entire room, but they're saying, oh, well, based on what these people are going to make, they won't be able to buy $28 jars of honey. What they fail to say is that apparently these people are going to be making $20 an hour, which I'm not, is pretty good.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm not saying that there is not a serious issue with wage stagnation and inflation and higher cost of living in this country. I do believe people deserve to make more, but this is not Meghan Markle's doing.
No, it's a false equivalency.
And they also fail to state that in both Pennsylvania and Texas, they do not have a set minimum wage. They go by the federal minimum wage, which is $7.25. And it hasn't changed all that much. Pennsylvania is fighting for 15.
Oh, I know.
15. Oh, yeah, I'm sure you know.
It's been decades. Like
it's been, yes.
It used to be 10, and then they were like, well, shit, if we raise it to 10, that's still poverty wages. We got to go up to 15, and they still haven't been able to get 15.
But the other thing that I also think is disgusting is that they have suddenly trotted back out, and maybe it's because of Meghan's birthday, all of the bullying claims, all of the how did she react to these bullying claims, blah, 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 of her staff needing mental health. And it's just like, you have to be kidding me. You're bringing up a 5-year-old report that we've never actually heard any of the conclusions of when you have an entire Highgrove story. It's just, you're not reporting. You refuse to engage with important stories that might lose you access, that might paint the king or the Prince William in a negative light.
Well, and with the Highgrove story too, it's so insidious to me because there's another white man involved who is the executive director of Highgrove, and he's directly quoted in a lot of these grievances as kind of being Charles' enforcer and being the one to actually allegedly scream at employees, tell them to fulfill Charles' every whim, even if it's like not scientifically, botanically possible. So this guy, Constantine Iname, who is a Dutchman who grew up in The Hague, he was brought on to be the executive director of Highgrove after Charles signed a deal with the Duchy of Cornwall. So this part of the story, I think we should really dive into, but we just
very underreported.
Won't. So Charles, in 2021, he signed a deal with the Duchy of Cornwall, leasing the Highgrove Gardens to the Prince's Foundation, which means that they would be basically operated under charity laws. So I'm sure there's some loopholes there. But in the fine print, he makes sure that he has the right to visit the gardens at any time without notice. He can still hunt all games, hares, and rabbits as he pleases, fell, cut, and carry away any saplings, and that the charity will work to ensure his privacy when in residence and prevent any prejudicial effort on the reputation of His Highness or any member of the royal family, and, of course, gave him sole access to the swimming pool.
What does this mean? But
the charity manages the finances and the staffing.
Also, isn't that supposed to be Williams? Isn't that also the thing that
the Duchy of Cornwall?
That not the Duchy of Cornwall, but that Highgrove, in the gardens.
Well, the Prince's Foundation, Charles rebranded it to the King's Foundation because he didn't want to give up control of all of this stuff. So Ina May, I'm going to just say it that way, the executive director, he really kissed ass, it seems, with Charles, says, yes, sir, like anything you want, sir, and passes on basically Charles's demands to the staff. So this is the guy who is quoted as screaming as people. There's anger boiling at the surface. People are very impatient, no politeness. It's like, you should be thankful we've given you a job and you work for the king, the highest person in the country.
Oh, that's so gross.
It's insidious. So there are 2 people being named in this story as actually exhibiting toxic bullying work behaviors. There are staff being quoted. And yet we bring back up the Meghan bullying allegations, which I have yet to see a compelling, specific incident be described about her as a boss.
That's also what I'm struggling with. A lot of what I've seen seems like sometimes you work with people and you gel and sometimes you don't. And sometimes working styles just don't mix. But it really, when when the media spends so much time harping around Meghan sending early emails, and meanwhile Charles is doing this, and you won't report on it, it's not silly. It's honestly just a dereliction of duty. It's embarrassing.
It really is. The kind of bookend to this story is an external they're calling it an external investigation. It was carried out by the King's Foundation. So I don't know if you can call that an external investigation.
Well, wasn't it the King's Foundation that they hired out this group of HR consultants to do it?
I guess. I'm reading it wrong.
I don't know. It's not they, I mean, they got the group to do it.
Sure,
so
sure.
Could be,
that
some
makes sense.
conflicts there, but still, I mean,
so this
their suggestions and findings are.
This investigation said that we need to raise pay if we want to have staff retention rates go up, and they recommended mental health support and counseling for those working there, which is a yikes to me. The foundation and Highgrove also issued their own statement at the time of the article coming out, basically saying our staff retention rates are well above the national average. And it's just like, okay, all right. Thank you so much. One last thing I wanted to note with this story, as I was trying to find it today, because it's been a couple weeks and I just got back from vacation, I just searched King Charles Highgrove Gardens. There was a house and garden feature August 1st.
Oh my God.
Inside Highgrove House and Garden, King Charles Cotswold's home, and its very unusual feature. High-res photographs. It's not necessarily like an interview, but it seems like the kind of glossy article you would get approval to post.
So I have a couple thoughts here. Was it that? Obviously, if the Times is doing their due diligence, they reach out to the King's Trust for comment. They reach out to Buckingham Palace. They reach out to people for comment. So they know that the story is coming. And so is there a connection at, whatever, Home and Garden?
House and Garden, yeah.
House and Garden, Home and Garden, House and Garden. And do they reach out or do they have this, they've reached out before and they're like, yeah, actually, let's do this. When are you guys free? Come quickly.
See, like, paragraphs here like, the pergola was a gift to His Majesty on his 50th birthday from the Royal Warrant Holders Association. It is shaped like a T and planted with wisteria and roses, both of which have been allowed to grow freely and now cast an enchanting shade on the paving stones below. That's the kind of thing you got briefed to write.
Oh yeah. That's not something you just.
So yeah, we are burying this story is what I'm getting.
We are. And part of burying it is just not reporting on it.
And replacing search terms with glowing coverage from House and Garden.
And it's really hard to argue that there's nothing to report on when there clearly are stories to report on. Another example of that was the Will and Kate Greece trip. And I think this one caught a lot of people's eyes because I actually think it was sort of reminiscent of when Kate went missing.
Yeah, it played out on social media, I would say.
Kind of similar, where people are trying to figure out what's happening. Reports are happening in the unregulated international press. The British media is, for the most part, not touching it. And it reminded me of when Kate and Carol were pictured in that car, a couple days after people were like, where's Kate?
Yeah.
And it shows her. And the British press, specifically ITV's Chris Shipp, says, out of respect for the privacy, we are not going to publish photos that are pap shots, and especially not of Kate because of her privacy. We only are going to release Kensington-approved photos. So they don't run it. Everybody else is running this.
Yeah.
But then a couple days later, suddenly The Sun can run an exclusive with TMZ of Kate and William out at the market in what look like photos taken by a random person or the paparazzi. So it's like,
yeah.
Maybe Kate looked better in those photos or whatever it might be. So it did remind me of that, where this could be a story. And this is why it could be a story of Kate and William in Greece. It's not necessarily the fact that they're going on vacation, although there could be a hard look at how many vacations they take versus the work they do, especially in light of the royal household financial report that came out and what we do and don't know about what Prince William makes off the Duchy of Cornwall. And when there are questions about how the royals are funded, I think this is all things that could be talked about. But I think one of the damages to media from the Catherine coverage is this reluctance to report on anything, or if anyone asks questions, you are suddenly attacking someone who's been sick. You're invading. Hasn't she been through enough?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a very good way to negate conversations and shut them down, but it's really in bad faith.
Even though the conversations I would want to be having are not really about Kate. Like, yeah, we could talk about how her return to work keeps getting stalled out by these vacations, sure. But I want to talk about Prince William being a global statesman and like an eco warrior vacationing on a super yacht. That's what I want to talk about.
So the way this was reported on, I first saw it in the Royal Appointment, in the Silly Season, a newsletter. And this is how they framed Kate and Will's vacation. The Waleses are already away, their children's private school holiday starting a little earlier than most. That's all you got? That's all you got? Nothing else? Nothing that they, from reports, left Wimbledon or sometime after Wimbledon, took a private jet to Kefalonia, which is an island in Greece. And Carol and her husband, what is
Michael?
Jim?
Jim. I think it's Michael. Michael
Bob
Middleton.
Middleton.
We could talk about like how Carol gets all the flack for the Middletons, like social climbing and business, but like she and Michael are business partners and he never gets mentioned.
I know. They're in it. I'm not saying they're a dream team, but they've done something. And so what it was reported by a Greek outlet, by other outlets, was that they went on a 450 million pound super yacht reportedly owned by Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan of the United Arab Emirates, who also happens to be the foreign minister for the UAE. And he's a part of the Royal Emirati. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah. The royal house. Yeah.
And the reason that this matters, well, there's a lot of different reasons. First of all, what a price tag. Were they gifted it? Gifted a trip? Did they pay? What did they pay?
Was the Sheik on the yacht? Were there meetings happening?
And why it's important is because the UAE, this is not a place that's known for their glorious human rights.
Or their no strings attached gifts. Just saying.
So that brings up real questions of, is there any conflict here? But also, someone said this. They were like, what does this mean about William being a global statesman?
Yes.
What does this mean about how he's moving in the world? Is he just going to kind of be neutral and accept things from everyone and just be like, well, this is part of being a global statesman? But when in reality, you're a prince, you don't have actual government power.
Whose interests are you?
Exactly. Why can't you stand your ground a little more? Although I understand that like the government has the meat people. But anyway, that story is not reported anywhere until Wednesday, July 30th, when the Daily Mail runs with a front page article. It is written not by a royal reporter. As the first thing. So Silly Season.
Yes.
It's another one of those. It's like Jan Moira when she did the Inside Harry's 40th birthday. I went to Montecito. And listen, I appreciate her game. She scammed the Daily Mail.
She really did.
Allegedly.
To a California vacation.
To have a vacation where she basically like sat and drank
Sat around
wine
cafes. Yeah.
And was like, he might get a sandwich at this artisanal sandwich shop where they have $28 kombucha shots sprinkled with the tears of orphans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a nothing burger. This is essentially, they figured out who on the staff had been to Kefalonia with children.
So this is when the Daily Mail finally decides to report.
Yeah.
Because you assume they took a while. They were scrambling. They were like, how can we spin this?
And they're like, oh, we'll tell what they might have done. And apparently this writer didn't get the memo, though, that you're not supposed to be talking about how out of touch they are. Because he's like, well, most people would just fly budget. They're taking a private jet and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're not trying to do life.
Get with the times.
It's written like Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Yeah.
Like they missed the memo of how we are kind of crafting stories about William being a small R royal. But then there is a second article, which is this first person account, the only person who has truly seen them, apparently, because, but yet you should discount every other eyewitness account.
Because this lady
saw
a woman on a yacht that
is a
like
retired
Kate.
Civil servant who saw the yacht from far away. And she also happens to be a huge royal fan. It's so weird. Like loves Kate, loves all of them. It's so weird that she just happened to see them on a mere 40 million pound super yacht. I mean,
so not the
slumming
it. God,
that is Atlas, I believe, and the other one was Opera. And Atlas is owned by
an Italian billionaire. And
but it's eco-friendly.
Yes, this is the one that like possibly works off of eco-friendly alternative fuels, so it wouldn't be as bad for the environment. I find this so insidious.
This is so gross. It's so gross.
If I remember correctly, at the end of this eyewitness account,
yeah,
they say something like, Now, later in the week, a different couple disembarked off of the Atlas, so it's unclear where Will and Kate disembarked themselves. And you don't think that maybe she could have been mistaken all along and they were never on that yacht? Why is the through line and the conclusion there necessarily, well, they must have gotten off early, not, well, she could have been wrong.
So it also says in here that at least should deflect any criticism headed the prince's way. What?
They're aware. They're becoming self-aware.
Just say that you do PR for the Kensington Palace.
Literally.
At this point.
And I will say Greek media still sticks with the 450 million opera. Like, they're very sure that
it's
that's
also
the one.
Weird to me that I guess, well, actually, I answered my own question in my head. Why wouldn't you just obviously take the 40 million yacht one and maybe even say after the fact, like, give an off, like a source close to Kensington, whatever. An aide says they specifically went on this kind of because they love Greece, but they want to try to find ways to do it more environmentally friendly. So they took only the $40 million one. But you could have gotten ahead of this story. But I come back to the fact that they never need to get ahead of a story because the media will do the cleanup for them. Because in any other world, you're like, this is really blatant to do this. And it's also just flies in the face of, you go back to 2018, 2019, and there is wall-to-wall coverage of Harry and Meghan taking a private jet 3 times for lavish vacations. Well, what about the 5 or so that the whale? It's the double standard. It's not about the people doing it.
Before Harry and Meghan came along, there were articles about how much air travel in private jets Will and Kate did, because it was like a lot. They exclusively flew private.
The pivot, once there was a spare and a wife to go after. And after, I just think there's been this shift where they're like, we can't go too hard on Kate and William because they are the future of the monarchy. And it hasn't really been great having an unpopular monarch. So maybe we shouldn't excoriate him when he might take over in a couple years, given the way things are going.
I do have one last silly season article for you.
Yes.
Related to this yacht vacation.
Perfect.
And I have questions on what we're doing here.
Okay.
From the Mirror. Prince George's specific dietary request sees royal super yacht tender return to mainland.
Is it waxy potatoes of a certain variety?
Better. Prince William and Kate Middleton's family yachting holiday in the idyllic Greek islands supposedly had an unroyal food request from Prince George. During the family's holiday on a super yacht last month, we don't name the yacht because we cannot nail down the name of the yacht, the future king's eldest son reportedly had a specific dietary request from a particular restaurant on a Greek island. This very particular request was made as the royals left Kefalonia and were sailing south towards Zakynthos before making a stop in the middle of the Ionian Sea. One of the tender boats was dispatched on a mission to pick up a meal, possibly from a famous fast food restaurant for the young prince. A member of the super yacht crew was reportedly dispatched out for a specific dietary item not available on the super yacht. A tight-lipped source revealed why one of the tenderheads traveled back to the mainland, according to the Mail Online. They said, are you wondering what the specific dietary item is?
I'm dying to know.
Keep wondering. They said, quote, George required a specific dietary item, which led to the tender going ashore in Zakynthos to purchase it.
We already said that.
Nothing extravagant, just something particular. The source did not reveal exactly what was picked up for the prince, but Zakynthos is one of the few Greek islands to have a McDonald's on the mainland.
Relatable king.
The young royal could have ditched the luxury meals on the super yacht for a Big Mac or chicken nuggets and fries. While it is not clear that what Prince George's specific request was, some of the royals have been known to enjoy some fast food favorites most people also dig into. Princess Diana was known to sometimes give William and Harry KFCs and burgers when they were growing up.
I'm so mad right now. This is worse than Prince William. Now, I will say there could have been a better headline. It could have been a tender for tenders, ? Speculating why.
I did see one that specifically said burger in the headline the other day, but I like this better because it gives me some insight into the role we're writing Prince George into, which I'm sad to say is like spoiled, rotten boy, golden-haired prince.
It does kind of feel like that. Like, are you trying to make him a relatable king? Because I will say, if he does love McDonald's, my middle child might be interested. I mean, this
could work out.
I might be a part of the royal family.
So what you need to do is find out what college he's going to, okay? And then
I'm going to need my child though to
take a
skip a
gap
couple
year.
grades.
Yeah.
No, she's going to have to skip a couple grades, but I'm sure we can figure it out.
She'll only major in art history. It's fine. That's easy enough.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a catwalk at school.
Horrible.
I know, it's so horrible. I am kidding. Profusely kidding.
All right. Shall we wrap up with an obituary today?
Let's do it.
One of our former, on my page, we used to run this thing called Royal Thirsty Thursday. One of our former subjects there, one of Meredith's favorite milk models.
Okay, when you wrote, I just looked at the notes because I hadn't seen what you'd written. When you wrote milk model as the descriptor, I died.
He's off the market, folks. Peter Phillips. He is engaged to his NHS pediatric nurse girlfriend, Harriet Sperling, revealed last week in a Hello Magazine exclusive. Hell yeah. I would do it too if I could. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So Peter Phillips and Harriet Sperling celebrate wonderful engagement with some exclusive watermarked first look photos in Hello. Princess Anne's son proposed to NHS nurse Harriet after a year of dating. I don't think it's just a year. I think it's been at least 2 years.
I think it's pretty short because apparently they got in together very quickly after his last relationship.
He had another girlfriend after his divorce.
The other girlfriend.
Yeah. But they did the social circuit last spring. I mean, okay, a little over a year. Fine.
Which is honestly, he's divorced. He's had kids.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that the second marriage.
Shane and I got engaged after 18 months. So it's fine.
I think that's fine. I think it's just when you know, you know.
My favorite part of this story. Hello Magazine quotes Gerard Franklin, who I looked up his LinkedIn. He is an old school PR expert. He issued a statement, which they just print in full. Mr. Peter Phillips, the son of HRH, the Princess Royal, and Captain Mark Phillips, and Miss Harriet Sperling, daughter of the late Mr. Rupert Sanders and Mrs. Mary Sanders of Gloucestershire, have today confirmed their official engagement. Both families were informed jointly of the announcement and were delighted with the wonderful news of their engagement. Oh. Their Majesties, the King and Queen, the Prince and Princess of Wales, have been informed of the announcement. No date has been officially set for the wedding. We are doing the most in this statement. For a Hello Magazine exclusive reveal.
So much about a minor.
Yeah, an untitled royal family member, right?
But until he gets married, there are going to be 75,000 articles about if Harry will attend, if Harry and Meghan will attend. The surprising reason Meghan will not attend.
Will the children attend?
Will the children attend?
What if Archie and Lily were flower girls and page boys?
That would be so cute. It's never happening, but that would be cute.
It would be cute. I've already seen articles about the ring being surprisingly modern. I don't know. But the part I'm sticking, 2 parts. Informing both Charles and Camilla and Will and Kate. I don't think you have to do that.
I don't either.
You don't need William's approval.
Detail. I kind of wonder, well, first of all, does it signal something about what's going on with Charles's health? Or is that included to say, listen,
you're going to start a rumor, Meredith.
I know. Listen, William is just up there in importance.
Head of the family.
He's basically the king. So you need to start showing him respect.
But then both families were informed jointly of the announcement. I love to think there might have been a Zoom call so they could find out at the exact same time. So there would be no snubs between.
Charles was like, how do you book this bloody thing? And goes, please, Charles, just go over there. Eat your waxy potatoes.
Waxy potatoes. So yeah, congratulations to them. Harriet, I hope you bring some relatability to this fuck-ass family.
My God, that was...
Sorry,
honestly,
0 to 100 real quick.
No, that might be merch.
Fuck-ass family.
Yeah. Bring some normalcy to this fuck-ass family, Harriet. Harriet the spy. I also just want to quickly, for our listeners, the reason that Amanda referenced Peter Phillips as a milk model is because this man, on multiple occasions...
They have to get creative, okay? They don't have titles.
Has posed for a Chinese dairy company that uses Jersey cows. And while they don't actually say who he's the son of, they do say a British royal family member. So they make it clear for the audience. And then the iconography in these photos.
So
he's
good.
Sitting superimposed with a picture of is that Buckingham Palace in the background? And then there's a picture of him, but it looks like an opulent indoor room.
It always gives me Joey Tribbiani doing the Japanese chapstick ad. That's the vibe I get from Friends.
I don't know what that is.
From Friends? Google it right now.
Okay.
Friends,
I notoriously do not watch Friends.
Chapstick or what? Yeah, he has a lipstick commercial. Ichiban, lipstick for men. That's what it reminds me of.
Oh my God, that's amazing. You're right, because it is. He's like holding it up, kind of like,
the glass.
wow, look where I found myself.
Does he have a milk mustache in
Unfortunately, no, but he is wearing like a 3-piece suit or something. And so I, of course, every time Peter Phillips comes up, I have to remind people of that because it is this whole, this is profiting off. I don't think Peter is a dairy farmer. He's not getting this deal because of him. He's getting it because of his connection to the royal family. And I found a really good 2020 BBC article that gets into that. And this is right when Harry and Meghan are leaving the royal family. The Sandringham Summit has happened. And this article says, is this going to be the path that Harry and Meghan take? And what's so interesting is you see the seeds for how they are going to explain away what Peter did to Harry and Meghan. Because Peter has never been a working royal.
There's all these qualifiers.
So technically, it doesn't matter because he can't profit off a title he doesn't have, which isn't solid logic because if Harry and Meghan are non-working royals, does it matter? Or is it since they were one? But also, they have a quote in there from, I think, Penny Jr. saying, it doesn't matter if you take Harry and Meghan's titles away. They're still going to be
connected
famous
or whatever.
And they're still going to do well. Not to mention the fact Meghan goes back to her prior career after leaving the royal family. So but you start to see how we are going to explain away the, well, what about Peter? And actually, Lady Katie Spencer, I believe, didn't she get engaged?
She's married.
One of them got engaged.
She has sisters. They're 2 twins, and one of the sisters just got engaged as well.
Okay. Well,
congrats. There's twins. Did you not know there's twins?
Congrats to that lady.
They kind of freak me out a little bit.
Oh, well, I'm going to look them up after this.
Yeah.
But it's this early version of explaining away why Harry and Meghan bad.
But Mike Tyndall on celebrity reality show, good.
Totally fine. Or even, and I made this argument too, I understand Zara Phillips is an Olympian. Like she's
an equestrian,
Yeah, so she's got her own thing in her own right.
But would she have had that thing without the royal?
And would she have had William and Kate? Would they have had William and Kate on their podcast if not for the fact that it's William's cousin?
Right.
So is that profiting off the connection?
And
technically, you know what's interesting too, since then, we've seen Zara apparently taking on some royal responsibilities, at the Ascot and blah, blah, blah. And there's been all this talk that William needs to build his bench with these volunteer working opportunities.
They just do it because they love it.
So it's okay that she does it for the vibes and not the paycheck?
Well, because she gets a paycheck from, saddle sponsorships, fashion
There's a watch
deals.
One. Yeah.
Questions could be raised on another day.
Another day, because I think we have done it all and it has been fantastic. So that's it for this week. You can get our episodes early and ad-free plus video content over on Patreon. And we would be remiss, and I actually forgot last week because I was so discombobulated without having Amanda here, that I forgot to thank our Patreon press secretaries who would never let it get out that we actually spent the last 2 weeks on a $450 million super yacht.
You would at least get it downgraded to a $40 million eco-friendly.
They would go
yacht.
20. They are that good. Our Patreon press secretaries, thank you, Molly, Nikki, Lulu, and Jessica. And to our crown jewel, a man that we will always get a Big Mac for whenever he wants it.
In the middle of the night, if I need to.
A tender for his chicken tenders. That would be Sir Christopher.
Thank you so much for your support. If you would like to get a shout out of your own, head over to the Patreon. It will be linked in the show notes, or you can go to patreon.com/offwiththeirheadlines. You can also check us out on YouTube for free video content 1 week later. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a review. 5 stars.
Preferably 5 stars. We like to reach a larger audience. Because here's the thing. I understand you usually read reviews when you want to complain, and you never think about the fact that actually, if I'm really enjoying this, leaving a quick review and even like a sentence, it does a lot. It not only
really
does it boost morale for, why we scream into the void, or at least talk into the void, but it also helps other people find our podcast. It really helps with charting and
Also, Meredith so far has been the one to find the good reviews. Like, she'll be the one to see them first. So she gets to send them to me. She gets to post them. I want to send her one at some point. So we need a lot higher volume for me to be able to see them first.
Beat the buzzer, okay? because it's delightful. You get to be a part of our joy. We send it. We're like, God, they know me better than I know myself.
I have a notes app. This is a pro tip for like affirmations. I have a notes app document of like really nice messages people have sent me over the years that I think like do get to the heart of what I'm trying to do.
It does feel good to be seen. It does. So thank you for seeing us. Thank you for subscribing, and we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.